I recognize the Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Ronnie Skelton.
Madam Speaker, before I begin, I too want to wish each and every one in this House and outside this House a Happy New Year. I know people are struggling, I know, and wishing them a Happy New Year might not be what they expect at this point in time. But Madam Speaker, I rise to make my contributions to the Police Amendment Bill. It has 2024, but it should be 2025 because basically nothing that happened in 2024 could come to this House, but we won't make that an issue. But I rise to make my contribution to the Police Bill 2024. Madam Speaker, this bill deals with interviews and oral procedures, special investigative techniques, covert operations, authorization for such, and authorization for control delivery and electronic surveillance. So those are the topics that this bill trying to deal with at this point in time. Madam Speaker, the bill also, in the objects of the reasoning, clearly states what the bill is trying to achieve. The Police Amendment Bill 2024 seeks to amend the Police Act, revised edition 2013, the Principal Act, to rectify certain deficiencies identified in the fourth wrong mutual evaluation report of the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force regarding the Virgin Islands. So that's what this bill is trying to do, based on the financial services, to make sure that criminals who try to use our systems, that we can assist in catching these criminals. But the Premier is quite right in his, after he finished the object of reason, to talk about crime in this country, Madam Speaker. Because, here we turn the guns outward to protect our country from criminals using our systems to do business here. But after you finish that, history has shown and is proven that they turn the guns inward. Because once you teach people to fight, and there are no enemies outside, they gotta go fight the enemies within. So that's the concern of those of us who understand some of this stuff and trying to make sure that while we fight the criminals, we also protect the private citizens. And Madam Speaker, there is no doubt in my mind, we all don't want the criminals to exist in our society. And it is true that there was a saying a long time ago, and I continue to say it in this house, that's changed, that it was better for 99 guilty persons to go free than one innocent person to go to jail. But I think the reverse is true today. It is better for 99 innocent people to go to jail than one guilty person to get free. That's what we are wrestling with around the globe today. You can see it. It's, if you're reading the news and looking at what is happening around the globe, you can see this is happening. But we can't do these things with our heads in the sand. We can't make these laws with our heads in the sand because eventually they will come back to haunt us. Some of us may not be around, but it will haunt us as a people. And that's what we're trying to avoid. In 2007, Madam Speaker, I had an opportunity to be on a constitutional negotiating committee. And all of these things you see in clause 9 and 16 and 19, they were put there for these specific reasons. And a lot of time was taken to make sure that these things, the protection of human rights, the protection of individual rights, enshrined in the Constitution and they're not to be easily tampered with. But in the same Constitution, if there is a problem, which is a severe step to take, if crime is out of control, there is the Emergency Act that you can activate to deal with crime. Yes, we all understand during that time that there will be a short window where human rights are curtailed in the interests of the country, of the greater good, so to speak. But, Madam Speaker, it is important for us to understand that we're fighting two enemies, and we cannot afford to make laws to fight the enemy within, because that's what's going to happen. I told my colleagues, when he was on my side also, that we are burning down, Madam Speaker, so to speak, Sherwood Forest, if those of you who don't know what Sherwood Forest, to catch Robin Hood. All of these things that we are doing, we have to do them, but that's what we're doing. We're burning down Sherwood Forest, which is the Virgin Islands, to catch Robin Hood. Because it is very difficult for our people to survive in this country. It's gonna get even more difficult if we don't pay attention. We cannot just live for today, Madam Speaker. And the Police Act is saying, basically, that if these things are instituted, these 5 items, that the police can use these provisions instead of fighting the international transborder crime, to fight crime here on the ground. And that means, Madam Speaker, there are no exemptions. And the member for the 6th brought out the exemptions for the House of Parliament. They can do electronic surveillance on all of us, because there's no exception. They can control delivery. They can do that on all of us. Those of us who have the propensity to commit criminal activities, they can do that. So, Madam Speaker, this bill definitely, and the member for the third said that when we get in the committee stage, it has to be tempered with some level of protection that the Constitution calls for. It can't just be this blanket statement. Yes, the intention of the people who drafted this bill or who want this bill, their minds are clear what they are doing. But they're not going to be there forever. They're not going to be in those positions. I listen to my colleague for the 6th says that when you want to understand what the thinking of the legislators when they were passing this bill, they go back to the objects and reason. But that don't happen often. That don't happen often. The judges and whoever is out there, they make decisions. Whoever applying these rules, they make the decision based on their interpretation, and they go all the way back to the 1800s for precedent and for all kind of stuff to justify their decision. So, Madam Speaker, let us don't sit here and believe that that these things will not be used on innocent people if you leave an open checkbook. Don't ever believe that. If you believe that, you're being naive. These things will be used on all people. And the results you will not like to see. So, Madam Speaker, you know, my colleagues then went through the bill like line by line, clause by clause, and there's some stuff in this bill that I don't understand. I think I understand, but I don't want to understand based on all the things that the COI report says and all kind of stuff, that we can still be making laws where there is a need for regulation, there's a need for code of conduct, there's a need for procedures, and we can pass a law that say the governor may. Come on, not even the governor in his own position will believe that that should be a may. Madam Speaker, this thing cannot be implemented if there are no regulation, no code of conduct, and those kind of stuff. So why use the word may? Because what? Those colonial system, those things are a thing of the past. We need to be stronger than this, you know. So Madam Speaker, I have a problem with where the darker colored people shall do this, but the clearer complexion people, like you said, Madam Speaker, may. You know, I have difficulties with those things. It could be only me, but I have difficulties trying to put those things together in light of this modern world that we talk about, where even in England and some of the other countries where they're getting rid of monarchies and putting systems in place that all people can have some level of protection under all laws. You know, the bright may is not an answer. And you can even in some of the I understand at section 35B 4, Madam Speaker. You know, when you read the objection reason, it sounds like we're cooperating with we call it authorized authorities around the globe. And they said here the police force may cooperate with foreign law enforcement agencies in taking witness statements. When I get in the committee stage, I don't want to know. I know probably what they're trying to do, but you know, if you want to fight crime, we need to fight it. And if you're going to use words like may, I have a problem. Then crime is not going to be, you're not going to be effective fighting crime. Madam Speaker, even in section the interview and the oral admissions, which to me should be one of the first things that is said, unless it is said someplace else, that under like section 35C, where an interview is to be conducted under this section, a person suspected of or charged with committing criminal offense shall, pursuant to section 23(7), be given opportunity to have his or her counsel present before the interview is conducted. Madam Speaker, to me, that needs to be upfront. That's one of them human rights stuff. It needs to be upfront. And the other words and the end, to me, don't make any sense. Counsel present, period. And then when you get them before the thing, and then you're going to have an argument whether it was you were conducting an interview or you were not conducting an interview, and all those. I watch a lot of Law and Order, so you gotta forgive me if I make any statements. You know, NCSI and all them. So I don't want I don't want to be like J. Edgar Hoover during his time of administration as the head of FBI. You see a communist under every bed and desk and chair. I don't want to be that bad, but there are concerns that we need to correct in this bill, Madam Speaker. And, you know, the member for the 6th, you know, we had conversations. He told me, well, he gave me, let me do the research on this because this is important. And I think he did a fantastic job in bringing the pros and cons. In the fight with the premier, that could go on. But the information that you brought forward is very important information. And I hope people listen to it because it's a protection of us, yes. Yes, none of us out here. Some of us are scared. Some of us are scared to be on the street. The premier, not the premier. But we here, although you said the National Security Council, you still, you know, have a lot because you have information that we don't have. We're like blind. The member for the Tortola doesn't come out at all after 6 o'clock. Because he's scared of the street. The things you're hearing out here on the street is becoming very scary, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, some of these things too do not belong here in law. For example, Madam Speaker, when you're going to put in a law, an investigative officer shall record in a witness statement those things that belong to regulations. Those things don't belong in law, in my opinion. And I've been around here in and out of this place for some 25 years, Madam Speaker. And I see these things being interpreted in ways that was never intended to. You know, and the only thing they don't have here is what color book and what color pen you should put it in. But those are the things that you enshrine in law that make it difficult to make any amendments to it. You know. So, Madam Speaker, there were quite a number, and Madam Speaker, 38 A and page 4 and 5, clause B. Let me get it right. 38, clause B, which states the monitoring or recording of activities by electronic means for the purposes of investigating a serious offense that has been, is being, may be committed. I know I watch a movie where, and these are science fiction movies, that people can stop crime before they happen. The Minority Report, yes, that's the movie. The Minority Report, and this seemed to me like that. This is part of that may be committed. And you know, I grew up in this country where when there were what, 15, 20,000 people. We had 5 police officers. 5 police officers controlling all of these people. Yes, time has changed. Yes, that can happen again. But the more police officers we get, it seems to be less effective. And I don't know what the model. I don't know anything about policing, except that, you know, we come here and we allocate $28 million for policing. And we don't know how effective it is. We probably need an investigation into it. I think a large member mentioned that there was a second report that's supposed to be laid here, talking about the police. So, Madam Speaker, these futuristic stuff, I have difficulties with that. And I am sure that when the witnesses come, and they will tell us basically what some of this stuff means and what are they trying to achieve. And I don't, Madam Speaker, when it comes around making laws, I understand the grandfathering part of laws, but when it comes around making laws retroactive, let's say retrospective, making laws retrospective, I have a difficulty with that. Where is it going to end? Where is something like that going to end? You know, you appeal a case, the case came to an end, the government has a right to appeal, and the government can get extension time to appeal. The ordinary person can't get it. Once your time run out, you run out. The government can't do those things and bring cases back against people. Now, it is true when you read some of the things in the Bible, it says you see criminal committing crime after crime after crime and living good, and you yourself might be tempted to commit crime because it seems like nothing is happening to the criminal. But that's not the right way to go. And I think that's where some of our young people are falling in the trap. So, Madam Speaker, let us don't Madam Speaker, even in this bill with electronic surveillance, some real things happen. Don't take this for granted. The electronic surveillance part of this bill, where you monitor people's phones and so forth and so on, Madam Speaker, those things are real, and they're used against you, even if you are not party to anything. I know people in this country who lost their esters because they had conversation with our past premier. I ain't no hearsay. That's not hearsay. So electronic surveillance is serious. That's why if I can't talk to the member for the third, I don't know what the member for the third doing, but the homegoing
Don't say.
you know, I don't know what he's doing, so I'm talking to him because as a friend, and I am being punished for just having a conversation with him. You know, they lock him up, I go to look for him because he's my friend. And they hold it against me because they think that he and I have some relationship. But this is some of the stuff that is troubling. And I don't know if you guys paying attention to what is happening around the globe, but we better pay attention fast. And these things are going to make it more and more difficult for us to pass on anything to our children, our grandchildren. I don't know if I'm paying attention. You better pay attention. They're going to be, when you pass it on, they're not going to be able to keep it. They're not going to be able to afford to keep it. Pay attention. So Madam Speaker, so the electronic surveillance needs some work. You know, I think we need to do more research and find out how this is done. Exempting us alone is probably not the answer, but I know we have to strike that balance. And everybody said we got 13 smart people in here, PhDs, lawyers, no doctors, engineers, no rocket scientists. You know, the minds are here. So we need to solve these problems. Madam Speaker, the Premier mentioned also that, can soon finish, Madam Speaker. The Premier mentioned also that we have all kind of rights in the thing, and we could, you know, if they accuse you wrongly, you can go to the Constitution and you got to get your rights back and all kind of stuff. But, Madam Speaker, everybody have that kind of money to get their rights back. No, don't do it that way. I know you're frustrated because I sat in National Security Council way back, and I know it's scary. When every Monday they come and report all of these things that are happening in the country. So that's not the way to throw your hands in the air and think that throw away everything, let us fight. Right? How you get it back is going to be a problem. Getting back what you give up, because I listen to people, but a precedent has been set. People continue to use the word. A precedent has been set, Madam Speaker. But if you set a bad precedent, somebody set a bad precedent, you're going to continue to follow it? We can't. We can't. We should not be following things, but a precedent has been set. It happened already. Bad things happen already. We don't follow them. So, Madam, it's important for us to understand that these things that are written in the Constitution is not just these things as basic stuff around the globe. You know, if there is a problem, like I heard Trinidad came up, and we all reading the stories between Trinidad and here. You know, we can't be so disconnected that we're not reading those stories. They're reading the stories. And I sure law enforcement also is reading the stories. And I don't think they're dependent on just this to fight that. Yeah, a state of emergency is a serious matter. You put your country, you know, economy in a tailspin. You know, you call that and the ships stop coming, the timing to do it is also important. Madam Speaker, there's a question I have too in control delivery. I guess this is the member for the Tortola entrapment. I don't think he fair off. But it did say you must, you know, under clause 38C says that you should not endanger the life and health or safety of any person. So even if you put in a private citizen to do something, to deliver or controls, whatever it is, he or she should not be in danger. Madam Speaker, in today's BVI, you know, the five guys out there in front of the building in 1950, who fought for, would have helped fight for us to get ministerial government, not ministerial government, the restoration of the House of Assembly. You know, they had 100 the authority that we have today. But we don't have 1/10 of the authority that we need to have. And we need to operate responsibly. When a report gonna happen, gonna be prepared, but only the governor can see it. I mean, we have no respect for the position of premier in this country. It don't make a difference to me who's there. You must have some level of respect for the position of premier in this country. And when you believe that only the governor is supposed to see a report that this thing speaks about, whether it's a covert report or something. Covert report. Madam Speaker, something is saying that we're still back in the 1950s. We're still back in the 1950s. We cannot continue like that. I think if the premier, whoever he is, he or she is, knows that they have to have some level of accountability in receiving this level of information. And I think that is wrong, and it needs to stop. Don't come tell me about the governor is responsible for the police or he should get that report. The ministers are responsible for all kind of stuff, and the governor gets a report. So something don't make no sense there. Something is wrong, and we cannot, as legislators, sitting here and be scared because to say things that they're listening. They know they're wrong. Trust me, they know they're wrong. So don't just be scared because when you see, no, as a person, I have I have no dislike for the person, but the position is where we need to concentrate on. So, Madam Speaker, I think all of that is unreasonable, unfair. So if this is being written in a document, I mean in national security, I ain't get no information. I ain't get no information. Because if you're bold enough to put this in here that these reports go only to the governor, something is not right. So Madam Speaker, the procedures and stuff, Madam Speaker, those we can work in committee stage to get them corrected whichever way we possibly can. Madam Speaker, let me leave that one. That one's going to take me a little while. Madam Speaker, if you go to... I definitely have a problem, Madam Speaker. I don't know what the answer is. I know, you see it in the news all the time. You lock a man up for 38, 40 years, you find out that the guy wasn't even close by the crime scene. And he locked, and then he has to go fight you to get some kind of compensation so he can live. You just let him go on the street. Nothing. And then he and his lawyer got to fight to get some level of compensation. The lawyer going to take 1/3, and he gets the balance. Is that really what we will do to our own people? If police officers convict people due to false information and whatever it is, then there's a price to be paid. The state is liable, take out a liability insurance then. But to say that the person is not liable for anything whatsoever cause, that can't be what we're trying to achieve, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, we're going to go in the committee stage and we're going to try to iron out some of this stuff. Some can be done, some can, because it was tailored for a specific purpose. But we know at the end the guns could be turned inward on us. And because it was to correct some deficiencies in the CFATF reporting, Action Task Force reporting report for 2024. So we know what the purpose was, but I think we all have a view that it needs to be tailored for that purpose, along with the purpose of fighting crime here on the ground. And so, Madam Speaker, like everybody else, you know, I understand we have to fight crime. I know we must, and we should give the police the resources that they need to fight crime. But we also need to protect the private citizens of this country, the law-abiding citizens of this country, from the police. With those few words, Madam Speaker, I thank you.